They can bury the truth, but they can't kill the soul. Cut through the noise, get back to what matters. Raise that hand, hear that truth roll across the land. We've been bent, we've been bruised, still we stand with nothing to lose. It ain't easy, the road is long and hard. We stand for our freedom right here in our own backyard. Yes, Patriot Mike, standing tall and free. Patriot Mike, for you and for me. Strap in. You're live with the Patriot Mike Show.
If you hate cops just because of the cops, the next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead. I don't know why we have to give money to countries that hate us. They should be able to hate us for free. My mother did not raise a fool, and if she did, it was one of my brothers. I believe love is the answer, but I own a handgun just in case. God created the world, but everything else is made in China. I'm not saying you're the dumbest person in the world, but you better hope the dumbest person in the world doesn't die. Senator Schumer he's nervous as a pregnant nun about losing his re-election. Why don't you go to Amazon and buy a spine online and take a stand?
Thank you, Senator Kennedy.
Stupidity is a lot like pornography. It's very hard to define, but you know it when you see it. Words can't express how much I don't care. When you tax something, you get less of it. Duh. There are only two things I have to do in this world. Be cool and die. Goat's milk latte drinking, avocado toast eating insiders elite. The brain is an amazing organ. It starts working in a mother's womb, and it doesn't stop working until you get elected to Congress. That Republicans may not be perfect, but the other side is crazy. Narcissistically woke people who hate George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, Dr. Zeus, and Mr. Potato Head. They take all their money and they give it to the military and the police and themselves. And to hell with the good people of Cuba. She's entitled to her opinion. I'm entitled to mine. As I've said about her before, I think she's the reason there are directions on a shampoo bottle. Even duct tape and WD-40 can't fix stupid. What a bunch of goobers. I don't mean any disrespect, but it must suck to be that dumb. Who carry around Ziploc bags of kale to give them energy and who think they are better than us. By the way, to me, kale tastes like I'd rather be fat. I do not hate anyone. I look for grace wherever I can find it. So I say this gently. The Biden administration sucks.
I hope I meet the threshold of
you do meet it, and I talk in the book about the tattoo of the Backstreet Boys on your back.
Look, I can't help that you don't want to reach young people. I think young people are the future, damn it, and I'll do whatever steps are needed.
Backstreet Boys?
Good morning, Patriots. How are you today on this Independence Day Eve? I hope you guys are having a great day. What a better way to start off Independence weekend than with a bunch of short clips of Senator Kennedy. And why does Ted Cruz have the Backstreet Boys on his back? I mean, those are great. I don't always agree on some of the stuff that he does with his voting, but you gotta love it. Oh, this is the day that the Lord has made it. I will rejoice and be glad in it. And God is absolutely good all the time, and all the time he is good. And the word of the day, as given by the Lord, presented by Marine in the Woods, is I can't read it from here. It's Galatians, right? Like the things you put on your feet. I'm kidding. It's a joke. It's a city. I get it. It's Friday. Let's have a good time. I'm broadcasting on all the channels. 4, 6 through 12 before I butcher it completely. 4, 6 through the Galatians 4, 6 through 12. Yes, I said it not right. I don't care. I live in central Missouri. I mean, I'm lucky I don't do meth. Oh my gosh, Mike, you call yourself a man of God. Yes, I do. And I am thankful every day for God's grace. Because I needed it. Lord. Oh, I hope you guys are having a great day. Because I'm having a great day. I'm not stressed because God, watching what God is doing and standing there with my mouth agape with all the things that are prophetically happening around us right now. If you're not noticing it, you don't want to. But first, let's start off with this. The White House posted this yesterday. So everybody say it with me. Put your hand on your heart. Are you ready? We can all do this. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, doesn't that just make you feel better? I mean, we need to get back to that. How dare you say a pledge to anything but God? Buh. Shut up. I don't want to hear it. There are 2 nations on earth that were founded on God. One God chose, that was Israel. One chose God, that was us.
Those are his general orders given to the military. And he's like, guys, what's more important than you being a patriot is you being a Christian.
Jeez, man.
And again, this is what's crazy. Nobody even disputes this. Yeah. So this is the very first order Washington gives as commander of the military. This is his very first general order.
The first ever.
The very first one. Okay.
Right.
And notice how it starts.
If he's a deist, he's real bad at it.
Right.
He's real bad at it.
Make sure you go to church, guys. Yeah. But we can't afford to curse. We can't afford to get drunk. Anything that might offend God, we can't afford to do because we have to have God's help or we're not going to succeed. Just read some of that general order for us.
The commander-in-chief directs that divine service, so church services, be performed every Sunday at 11 o'clock in those brigades to which there are chaplains, those which have none to attend the places of worship nearest to them.
Hang on. So those who have none, if you don't have a chaplain, then you attend the closest place that has a chaplain.
It is expected that officers of all ranks will, by their attendance, set an example to their men. Dude, this is amazing. He's saying if you're going to be an officer in the, well, I guess it wasn't the United States Army at that time.
It was Continental Army.
Continental Army. He's going, you got to go to church.
Yes.
You got to go to church.
Oh, it gets better.
Okay. While we are zealously performing the duties of good citizens and soldiers, we certainly ought not to be inattentive to the higher duties of religion. This is amazing. Okay. To the distinguished character of patriot, it should be our highest glory to add the more distinguished character of Christian. Fascinating.
Okay. What is more important to George Washington than being a patriot?
A Christian.
Being a Christian.
Dude, that's incredible.
So Dash 2028 over on YouTube. By the way, I'm broadcasting on all the channels because it's Friday, and I normally do that on Friday. And I only do that on Friday because the rest of the channel sucks. If you want to watch me Monday through Friday, if you want to watch me Monday through Friday, 8:30 every morning, Central Standard Time, over on Rumble, where free is. What faith is sending America to war? Okay, so are we committing to a religious war? No. In fact, my friend, don't stop watching. I don't know if you're just a drive-by troll commenter, but stay with me. I'm about to bring you something. And if you can give me 20 minutes, my show's about 2 hours long, but give me 20 minutes. I'm gonna go through some funny stuff and some humor and light stuff. It's Friday. But I'm going to show you something. We're not going to have a civil war, friend. We're going to be shocked to our core by God. As I said, I don't know if you caught it a minute ago. I don't know if you were watching. You might have just logged in. 2 nations on earth were created for God. One was chosen by God, that was Israel. The other chose God. We are covenant nations. Israel is a covenant nation. The United States is a covenant nation because our founding fathers besieged the providence of the Creator and made a deal. Let us survive this war with the strongest power in the world, and we'll dedicate ourselves to you. And they did. We are a covenant nation. So don't quit. Don't be drive-byer, because I got some stuff coming in a minute that's going to prove to you that God is moving in ways right now that you would not believe, even if he manifested himself right in front of you and told you. I'm just saying, we are in a very, very interesting time. And if you don't believe it, just hang in there, my friends, because it's going to get wild. I think we're there. I mean, I don't know 100% for sure, but I think we're there. You know, I think we're there. Just like Fat JD thinks we're there.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest. What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal? See that chap over there? Get your hand off my penis!
Or then again, sometimes these comedian impersonators do such a great job. It just doesn't go. You got to go with it. Here is Joe Biden, celebrity impersonated, of course.
Dad, do an impression of Joe Biden trying to explain the difference between tangerines and oranges.
Tangerines. When I was a kid growing up, this was in Kentucky. Civil War just ended, and there was a tree. My father planted the tree, tangerine tree. Anyway, Abe Lincoln said, I'm going to cut down that cherry tree. No, the other guy. Anyway, what was the question?
I mean, you can't get any better than that. From a furniture, bro. Yes. Because it's a joke. Relax. It's funny. And then I'm sharing this one. This is another one of the Europeans. This is a Scottish girl. They're over here, for the soccer games. And I don't know if that's why she's here. But anyways, she's been, her friend takes her to Sonic for the first time. Those of us that live in the Midwest and eat at Sonic on occasion are like, ho hum. But the reason I shared this is because her accent when she's ordering is the only reason. I like it.
Okay, we're here.
All right.
No, we stay in the car. Like we order from here.
They order through the menu.
Yeah.
All right, what should I get? A slushy? I can put nerds in the slushy.
Yeah, you can literally do pretty much anything you want here.
Hiya, can I get the Sonic cheeseburger and some tater tots and cherry signature slushy with cream refresher? Look at the cup. It has the
The way she ordered that.
I've said a lot of things about the American highway, but it's not that bad. It's not that noisy. Oh my god. You're lying. Oh my god.
I just have to say this, okay? How bad is the food? How bad is the food in Scotland when you get excited over Sonic tater tots? I mean, they're just average.
American dream. Diet starts tomorrow.
Oh, I just love it. I just love America and its greatness on display. Who said America is great? All the people visiting right now. You got to think about it. How bad is the food in Scotland if you're excited about Sonic tater tots? I mean, I like Sonic tater tots, don't get me wrong. But I do. I don't like their French fries. If I go get a burger from Sonic, I get the tater tots. But what is going on with these people? I don't know. So, what's happening? There are things breaking in the news. Now, I've talked about I've talked about some of the prophetic stuff that people have said over the years. And that we were entering a season where all that was, I beg your pardon, Sonic tots are the best. I don't know. Okay, Sonic's tots are the best compared to all the other fast food tots, but they're not the best. There's some other places where you can get much better tots. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there. But, okay. I'm just not a fan. I mean, Sonic's okay. Everybody's all, what a burger, what a burger, what a burger. Because, Patrick Mahomes came to Kansas City and couldn't find Whataburger. So he bought some and brought him to Kansas City. Cool. So I went up to Whataburger and I had a Whataburger and it tastes like Sonic. So I'm like, when we already have that. So I'm waiting for the In-N-Out burgers, by the way. I took old Charlie, when we was in Detroit, I took Charlie to a Culver's and we had the first time he ever had frozen custard. Very impressed he was. Steak and Shake's tots and tallow. Yeah, Steak and Shake's tots are good. Their French fries are okay. I'm just not their hamburgers are just, I don't know what it is. It's too salty. I don't know what it is. I used to like Steak and Shake, but not as much anymore. Mahomes' rehab is complete. Yeah, I think he's going to start. I love Whataburger. Culver's is the best. Yes, they make a good sandwich for sure, for sure. They make a good sandwich. All right, so what are we talking about? What you talking about, Willis? What are we talking about? So this is a story all about how. Anyways, this is a story that just broke. So we know Butler. We know there's been a lot of seemingly cover up, a lot of information not come out. This just dropped. DHS Government's Office Inspector General releases report on Secret Service missed opportunities to prevent and disrupt attempted assassination of President Trump July 13th. 2024. One of the top findings confirms one of the big mysteries of Butler assassination attempt and who was really at fault. Secret Service didn't use available equipment to block the line of sight between the ARG building and the stage where President Trump spoke, allowing shooter Thomas Crooks a clear 155-yard shot at Trump. This occurred despite extensive Secret Service training that instructs agents to place objects that enhance light of sight, I think it's supposed to be line of sight coverage at the events. The OIG reports assert the OIG also produced the video below to demonstrate just how clear a shot Crooks had of the time of Trump on the stage. Now, I'm going to pause right there for a second because I extensively talked about this because I listened to Dan Bongino. I read one of his books, and in there, Dan Bongino talks about one of the things they do when you're doing asset protection, whether it's president or somebody else, is if there's a place they can't cover, they'll block it. A lot of times when Trump did his speeches, you'd have a couple of cranes with a big, huge American flag strung across, right? Oh, look at that, the flag, so cool. But that's not the only reason they did stuff like that. That blocked line of sight from a particular direction where you couldn't see the stage. That's intentional. They do that all the time. They do it in such a way that you won't notice, but they do it all the time to prevent angles of fire. There's two things. There's cover and there's concealment. Cover is a concrete block or something that stops bullets. Concealment is something that blocks you from the eyeballs of the enemy, makes you harder to shoot. So the Secret Service and other people who do asset protection use concealment techniques by putting banners or signs or equipment or something in the way. And that's important to understand. But that's not what's breaking news here. What's breaking news here is how this gets a little bit more into it. It says who is at fault for that? In the report, the DHS OIG said Secret Service would not tell them if campaign staff had placed equipment that was already on site at the event locations that would have blocked the line of sight. I have reported, and a report from Senator Rand Paul's office later reported that Secret Service tried to use farm equipment to block that line of sight, but the Trump campaign objected to the optics of it and requested that it be removed. So they're trying to say that the Secret Service is trying to say, or the report's trying to say that the Trump campaign did it. But the DHS OIG said Secret Service would not tell them if campaign staff had placed equipment that was already on site at the event locations that would have blocked the site. Here's what gets interesting. The Secret Service complied. It's unclear who in the Secret Service is responsible for failing to stand up to the override the campaign staff who wanted the equipment removed. Mayo Perez was the U.S. Secret Service agent in charge of security. She was inexperienced agent and known within the detail as a partner and not a serious, whatever that means. There are two supervisory agents that were supposed to provide oversight to Perez's work, Nick Monstier and Nick Olzerwicki, whatever. Those two agents were never punished for their role in Butler's porous security plan and execution. In fact, current Secret Service Director Sean Kirian gave them both big promotions. Interestingly, it was Kirian who was ultimately responsible for security decisions for the Butler site, including the decision to remove farm equipment or not place additional equipment to block the line of sight. Kirian was the detail leader, and I don't know if I'm saying his name right, for the team protecting Trump's during the campaign and signed off on the site plan. This new OIG report doesn't address whether Kirian himself directly approved the removal of farm equipment from the site so that line of sight remained unobstructed for crooks to shoot that nearby nearly killed Trump and did murder Corey Capertone and seriously wound two others. James Copenhaver, I'm having trouble seeing. Probably should have switched my glasses. And David Dutch, Copenhaver and Dutch are now suing the Secret Service over the agency's preventable failures, as their lawsuit asserts. It's possible that OIG investigators asked Kirian and he refused to say. I'll link the new DHS report below, blah, blah, blah. So what are we saying here? That somewhere between some staffers for Trump and the U.S. Secret Service, they failed to put something as a barrier or line of sight to the stage from where Crooks was at on the roof. See how they have the flag here? They could have put another flag right there, and that would have solved the problem, but they didn't. And the question is, why didn't they? That's where the question comes in. So now I go back to this. This is a prophetic word given by Amanda Grace earlier this year, talking about what was coming. And she specifically mentions Esther 2. We'll get to that in a second.
Hello, everyone. Amanda Grace here. So there are two things right now unfolding at the same time prophetically that is fascinating. So I'm going to go to the words from the Lord right away to talk about it, and then we're going to put it together. So March 12th, 2025, word of the Lord. There shall be a shaking in the middle of your nation in points of the map, says the Lord. That shall be strategic and confirm what is to come, says the Lord. For a plot is about to be unearthed, says the Lord. A plot is about to be unearthed. Esther 2, says the Lord. Esther 2, it shall be exposed, says the Lord. Esther chapter 2 is about guards conspiring to harm the king and that plot being exposed. Now, July 3rd, 2025, the neck of Iran shall now be broken, says the Lord, and their oil, their commodities from within the earth shall now be pinched shut, says the Lord. For the leader has but a moment left before a great implosion from within. For this is the time of the Esther 2 moment within nations, says the Lord, including Iran, says the Lord, including America, says the Lord. Guards conspiring against their leaders, says the Lord, for evidence shall rise to the surface of such, says the Lord. Now, James Comey, former director of the FBI, puts that post out May of 2025, 8647, right? That is the beginning of the Esther 2 moment, but it gets even more interesting because what is happening together now? What is happening at the same time is the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz that has pinched Iran's oil commodities shut. They're losing hundreds of millions of dollars a day. And what is happening at the same time? James Comey, former director of the FBI, is indicted for his 8647 post. Guards conspiring against their leaders, for evidence shall rise to the surface. So at the same time the neck of Iran would be broken and their oil commodities pinched shut, the Esther 2 plots within this nation and the nations of the earth would be exposed. And this is what was in these prophetic words together. The neck of Iran being broken, their oil commodities pit shut, and then the Esther 2 moment being dealt with. And now this has all come together in this time. Fascinating how this is all forming and happening, and fascinating. These were in the same words from the Lord, one after the other. It was spoken. So continue to be watching right now.
So she gives her thoughts on what maybe that word meant. But I just want to point out, here's the Esther 2 that she's talking about. It says, during the time Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate, that is the uncle or brother. It depends on the interpretation of the word from the ancient language to today, because people take it different ways. I say it's Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's officers who guarded the doorway. So these were the king's guards. These were the secret service of the day, became angry and conspired to assassinate King Xerxes. But Mordecai found out about the plot and told Queen Esther, who in turn reported it to the king, giving credit to Mordecai. And when the report was investigated and found to be true, the two officials were impaled on poles. Remember, I keep telling you about the Esther story, that back in the days of Babylon and back in the days of Persia, they didn't have gallows, that hanging people by the neck wasn't a technology, so to speak, but they did have pikes, and that when it says that they hung Haman on a gallows 100-foot tall at the end of Esther, that they didn't have gallows, but they did have pikes. Well, they were impaled on poles. I'm just saying. All this was recorded in the book of the annals in the presence of the king. So the Esther 2 that she's talking about is that the personal guard of the king, two of them conspire to kill the king and were apprehended. So the Esther 2 moment, in essence, I believe what she's talking about is some people involved either in the Trump administration or the detail to protect him was actually trying to take him out. That is a prophetic revelation. And that report from the OIG is saying that either there was severe negligence in the part between the staff of the former president at the time, the president now, and the U.S. Secret Service detail that may have been conspiring. I mean, why wasn't something put there? It's standard operating procedure. Why wasn't something put there? Okay, got that one. Now, I'm going to post this. I'm going to put this up here. This was December 31st, 2025. This was my post, and boy, oh boy, did people get mad at me over this one. Ilhan Omar will go to jail for a long time. We see that manifesting himself. Tim Walz will step down. It's just been confirmed that Tim Walz pardoned a illegal immigrant pedo that was raping a bunch of children so that he wouldn't be deported. Tucker Carlson converts to Islam. Boy, that got people really upset. We're going to talk about that one. Many people in government will self-deport. Gavin Newsom does not run for president. AOC does run for president. Well, we see AOC and her buddies in the Democratic Socialists of America expanding their popularity right now. And Gavin Newsom is in trouble. I told you things would start happening, and they're happening. Gavin Newsom is in trouble. Things are happening. It's not going to be pretty, but we're going to talk about it. We are definitely going to talk about it. I went too far. Where is it at? I went too far. Oh, here it is right here. Gavin Newsom appointee wore FBI wire in corruption probe. Hello. Gavin Newsom does not run for president. Hello. What? What are we talking about here? We're talking about God doing what God does. We've talked about it all along, that God was about to do something. Now, this is Gavin Newsom a couple of weeks ago when it came out that he was being investigated by the FBI. Do you remember this? We played it.
Recent days, federal agents have knocked on the doors of family, friends, and former employees, not because they found a crime, because they're simply trying to find one. They're demanding records. They're abusing the grand jury process, digging through years and years of random documents.
Hold on a second. Let me make that. Oh yeah, that's the problem. Let me change this real quick because I'm running Internet Explorer, I'm running Brave, and I'm running Google all at the same time. I know, but I usually don't have a problem with it, except Internet Explorer will not play these videos right now. It is crazy. So let me move this over to a different browser. They will not play. They will play, like, if I want to go watch a funny something or another, they'll play that. But if I want to watch Gavin Newsom give his speech,
federal agents have knocked on the doors of family, friends, and former employees, not because they found a crime, because they're simply trying to find one. They're demanding records. They're abusing the grand jury process, digging through years and years of random documents. Donald Trump isn't just coming after me because of my mean tweets. He's coming after me because I'm considering running for president, because he hates that I've consistently called him out over and over again for his lies and deceit. Donald Trump is simply the most corrupt president in American history. He's turned the levers of government into his own personal power ministries to reward cronies and to try to jail his opponents. His personal attorney now runs the Department of Justice, which has repeatedly gone after his political enemies. Ask Jerome Powell. Sent them after James Comey, Trish James, Adam Schiff. He sent them after Tim Walz, and a woman that a jury found Donald Trump had sexually abused. One by one, anyone who has challenged Donald Trump has ended up on his hit list. And today, I proudly join that list.
Now I was watching a professional speechwriter. I don't remember whose show he was on. Maybe he was on Rogan. I don't remember. It was on one of the shows, and he was talking about Gavin Newsom and that his style of talking with all of these breathless pauses inside of his speech are not for dramatic pauses to get you to really listen to him. I mean, that is something that you're taught in sales. And that is when you're talking to somebody and you're trying to get their attention, you lean forward. Nod the head. The politician thing, like Bill Clinton. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Bite the tongue. Miss Lewinsky. You taught this in sales school. You lean forward and you say, which one will best suit your needs? Now, that is, being quiet is a form of posture that draws people in. But that's not what he's doing. What he's doing is the person putting the words on his teleprompter aren't fast enough, so he has to pause and let the teleprompter catch back up before he can give his speech. Now, this happens with Donald Trump, too. It happens with all politicians. But Donald Trump's technique of that is he says, I want to talk about, and I can't do Donald Trump. There's a lot of people can, but I can't do. I want to talk about Medal of Honor winner Zachary Johnson. And then it hasn't caught up. And he says, it's kind of crazy. The thing that people do to earn these Medal of Honor. Wow, these are really brave people. It's amazing. I'm totally amazing. Bigley, the best there ever was. He's the best. He's the greatest. And then pick up right as the teleprompter moves up. Pick up. So he's stalling just like Gavin Newsom does, but instead of having dead air, he's filling off of improv. And that's why Donald Trump, regardless if you don't like his style, is right there with Ronald Reagan as one of the greatest orators of presidents we've ever had. But anyways, let's get back to Gavin Newsom. I just wanted to point that out of his cadence and his style.
Calling for my arrest last year, Donald Trump directed his Department of Justice to investigate me. And just in the last week, I've learned that his campaign has reached my own home. To get me, he's coming after my wife, Jen, a public servant, a woman who's dedicated her life to supporting women and girls, someone who has done nothing wrong other than having the temerity to advocate for what she believes in. If they can't intimidate me, they'll go after the mother of our children. Donald Trump picked the wrong target. We have nothing to hide. His political operatives can take every record and read every page, but they'll be looking in the wrong place. Because if they read,
they were looking somewhere else
further than 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Donald Trump is selling the presidency. He's running the largest cash heist in American political history, trading foreign tariff relief for approval of his golf courses, day trading behind the Resolute desk, reaping hundreds of millions of dollars in personal profit. And he's doing it openly. He's doing it on camera. He did it last night on the White House lawn. He's doing it through cryptocurrencies. He's doing it through the receipt of a $400 million private jet from a foreign government that he plans to keep when he leaves office. Through his son's ventures in countries where his own administration is simultaneously making policy. His personal fortune has skyrocketed by $4 billion since making his return to office. This is the behavior of a regime, not a republic. The White House has become a marketplace for sneakers and coins and watches, cologne, guitars, Bibles, and phones. Influence for sale, access for sale. And today, my family and I can personally confirm that justice is for sale. To Donald Trump, who I know is watching because he watches everything, I have a message for you. You can subpoena my records. You can investigate me. You can harass me. Put my name on every and any enemies list you have, but leave my wife and family out of your personal vendetta. I'd like to say something to my wife. These times are not normal. They're not ordinary. I love you, and I'm sorry he's doing this. You have not earned a single one of the indignities that he's trying to inflict on you and our children. And to Donald Trump, this country does not belong to you. It does not belong to your cronies. And we're going to fight your lawlessness. And we're going to continue to remind the people of this country of your corruption. That same corruption our founders warned us against as we move to celebrate our 250th anniversary. I'm going to keep reminding Americans of what they warned would happen if a man with no character ever held the office of presidency. So let me say it again. Mr. President, come after me. I'm not going anywhere. And the country is watching.
He's not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere, he says. Huh. You are going to jail. And the reason he says, keep my wife's name out of your mouth, is because that's how they do all the corruption. So their wife and other extended family members. The politician's name is never on it. It's always the wife's name. Like I talked about with Bernie Sanders. who spent $7 million on an ad buy to his to the agency that purchases his ads for him. Just happened to be owned by his wife, and with campaign finance, you don't have to report where the money's spent once it goes to your ad agency. Isn't that special? That's how he bought a Ferrari. Gotta have a house in the Hamptons and a Ferrari. Yeah. Here's the New York Post reporting, or is it Gateway Pundit? New York Post. Okay, I want to make sure I had it right. Alex Podesta, the ultimate dim insider, rose through the California politics, then wore an FBI wire. Alex Podesta has been one of Sacramento's most influential behind-the-scenes power brokers for years, the kind of political insiders whose name rarely makes headlines, despite her fingerprints being all over California politics. Now, she's become one of FBI's most valuable witnesses. After wearing a wire as part of a probe that took down Gavin Newsom's former chief of staff, Diana Williamson, according to Williamson's attorney, Podesta, 45, spent years climbing the Democrat political ladder before cashing in as a lobbyist. She currently owns the Podesta Company, a Sacramento lobbying and government affairs, firm that launched in 2020 after leaving state government. She previously served as Secretary of California's Business, Consumers Services, and Housing Agency under Governor Jerry Brown from 2017 to 2020. Before that, she worked for Brown's office as Director of External Affairs, Director of International Affairs, which Bill Clinton's in favor of, and Chief of Protocol. Her resume also includes stunts as power company PG&E and Walt Disney Company as Director of Scheduling for the late U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein. When Gavin Newsom, who is now subject to a federal investigation, took office, he rewarded Podesta in 2020 with an appointment to the Board of State Compensation Insurance Fund, where she remains today, collecting nearly $61,000 a year from taxpayers, despite emerging as a central figure of federal corruption probes swirling around the governor's political orbit. Newsom's office has declined to comment on keeping Podesta on the board, despite her being an FBI mole, because they didn't know, calling it a personal matter. Podesta has been identified as co-conspirator too in Williamson's indictment. She was accused of taking over management of former Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Barraca's, that's under the Joe's administration, dormant campaign account after Williamson's joined Newsom's administration. So he went off to D.C. to be Secretary of Health and Human Services, and the account was left there. And prosecutors alleged that the account was used to funnel roughly $225,000 through a series of sham consulting payments, and ultimately benefited Beccarella, I don't know how to say his Beccarella, whatever, former chief of staff Sean McCluskey. Podesta has not been charged with a crime. Of course not. She's the stool pigeon. Her attorney, Bill, I'm not going to say Bill because I'm done with the names now, has acknowledged to other media outlets that she is the unnamed co-conspirator described in the court filings, saying she began cooperating with federal investigations after uncovering what he has characterized as wrongdoing by others. Outside of government, Podesta has also served on the board of a cannabis company, Body and Mind Incorporated, advised luxury vacation home startup Pasco, and belonged to Chief and Executive Network Organization, according to her LinkedIn. Now, according to Williamson's attorney, she could add FBI wiretaps to her list of skills. So now somebody within Gavin Newsom's organization, his structure, has been walking around with recording devices installed by the FBI. Isn't it wonderful? Gavin Newsom will not run for president. Gavin Newsom may not make it to the end of his term as governor. Just like Tim Walz. Panic, says MJ Truth Ultra. Remember a few weeks ago when Gavin Newsom released his videos in tears stating that his wife was being investigated? Well, holy crap, it gets worse for the greasy bastard. It was revealed today, longtime Democrat insider Newsom appointee Alex Podesta secretly wore FBI wire or recording device while cooperating with federal investigation in a probe that started with Newsom's former chief of staff, Diana Williamson. Holy shiitakes. Williamson pleaded guilty in May of 2026, that's a month ago, to conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud, filing false tax return and making false statements to the FBI. The scheme involved siphoning roughly $250,000 from a dormant campaign account of the former head of Human Services Secretary Xavier Barraca, whatever his name was, disguised as consulting fees to benefit Barraca's ex-chief of staff. This explains why many Sacramento political insiders and lobbyists received FBI letters last fall about intercepted calls. So they weren't just spying with recording devices. They were intercepting their phone calls too. That means they had warrants. That means there's evidence. Oh, yeah. The net was cast wise, and then he says, holy shiitake again, the investigation has since expanded to include Newsom himself and his wife, Jennifer Sable Newsom, she's such a sweetheart, including probes into her nonprofit finances and taxes. The walls are closing in on California's most corrupt political machine. And then he says, you're going to prison, and uses an expletive. Isn't it wonderful? I love it when a plan comes together. But that's not all that happened in the last few days. There's this story from the Gateway Pundit. This has got a bunch of Democrats up in arms. FBI dramatically expands Fulton County 2020 election investigation, deploys hundreds of analysts to review records. FBI has assigned 260 investigative analysts to assist its ongoing investigation and fraud that took place in Fulton County, Georgia during the 2020 presidential election. According to an internal FBI memorandum obtained by the New York Times, the analysts have been tasked with completing approximately 708 record checks by July 17th. The memo describes the operation as a priority for FBI Director Kash Patel, and specific records under review have not been disclosed. The expanded effort follows the FBI raid in the Fulton County election warehouse. Back in January, federal agents seized more than 600 boxes of election materials, including 2020 ballots, as part of the Justice Department investigation. No criminal charges have been filed, and federal authorities have released few details about the scope of the investigation. The FBI and Fulton County officials have so far declined to comment on latest developments. The Justice Department has also sought the identities of every worker involved in administrating the 2020 election in Fulton County. County officials challenged that request in court, and a judge temporarily blocked disclosure while litigation continues. That the internal memo states that overtime, including weekdays and holidays, has been authorized, or overtime has been authorized, to complete the review. Fulton County Commission Chairman Rob Pitts complained about the expanded review, calling it a Hail Mary and saying he had not been informed of the move. That's because you're probably one of the people they're investigating. Georgia's Rhino Secretary of State Brad Rothenpinger insisted that his office runs the most secure election in the nation, but said he would assist the investigation. Our office stands ready to assist law enforcement in any investigation that will reassure Georgians like Marjorie Taylor Greene that their votes are cast securely and counted accurately, he said. The personnel assigned were our investigative analysts specializing in record examinations rather than FBI special agents. It currently remains unclear what evidence they've uncovered or whether the investigation is expected to result in criminal charges. There's a grand jury investigating, and that's some of what they're digging up on. Over the past 5.5 years, the Gateway Pundit has led the way on exposing election fraud that tainted the 2020 presidential election. Several statistical analyses have repeatedly proven that Biden could not have won a fair and legal victory, while there's also remains evidence of premeditated election fraud. So things are, by the 17th, interesting day, that would be 7/17. This is all supposed to be done. Now, whether or not we'll have a report then is a whole nother story. Then there is, again, I put out a word that said Tucker Carlson will convert to Islam. By the way, here's another prophetic word coming true, that a new party would arise. I'm going to help build a third party, Tucker Carlson drops political bombshell. Former Fox News host Tucker Carlson said he plans to help build a third political party, claiming the country's leaders have stopped focusing on the needs of ordinary Americans. I said Tucker was going to convert to Islam. People mocked me for that. There's no way. Tucker Carlson is a Christian. He goes to a Christian church and he claims Jesus is Lord. He claims Jesus is a prophet, but does he claim Jesus is a Lord or the Lord? Because you know what? Muslims claim Jesus is a prophet. Now, mind you, I want to show you something. This is Tucker Carlson montage on how much he loves Islam, and notice this is used all over the Middle East as propaganda against the United States and in favor of Islam.
I'm not going to take another lecture in my country about Islam this, Islam that. You're lying.
Whatever it's worth, a pretty fervent Christian, and I feel completely comfortable here in the seat of Islam.
Right. I travel a lot in the Middle East. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, I like it here a lot.
Mockery of Islam. And no president should mock Islam. He's like, you know what Islam means? Submission. I don't think I'm against that. Anyone who submits to God, I'm just for that. The Christian worldview, and by the way, also the Muslim worldview, is a universal worldview. Anybody can come to this faith.
And many times I said on television, the problem is Islam. The problem is Muslims. They all want to kill us. They're all crazy. They're all in this lunatic suicide cult created by Muhammad in the 7th century. And
I believe that. I was hysterical. I believe that. No, that's not true. Nothing about that is true.
Keep USA did a poll and they asked the audience, what they considered to be the greatest threat to America. And they did put radical Islam at number one. I'm wondering where you think those sentiments are coming from.
From the Israeli government. I don't know anyone in the United States in the last 24 years who's been killed by radical Islam.
How many Americans have been killed by Shia terrorism in my lifetime, which is 56 years? I can't think of any.
Islamic Jihad, whatever that is. Islamic Jihad. Sharia law.
Well, in
Sorry, Sharia law.
But you should know, Seth, that the real danger is Sharia law. Sharia law. And you can tell when you go to a place like Abu Dhabi or Riyadh, like, oh man, I hope we don't ever wind up with a society like this with a rape rate of 0, where you leave your keys in your Lamborghini and don't ever worry about it.
Take the screenshot, everybody, because I'm going to hold him to it.
Being stolen. And, if people want to get wasted, they do it at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh boy, I hope we don't wind up with that.
I have more in common with the sincerely religious Pakistani cab driver. Pakistanis are all super nice to me, and the whites are all kind of craven and sad.
I just like reverent people. And anyone who bows down before God and admits I'm not God 5 times a day, but that person is not by definition my enemy. Again, not promoting Qatar. I'm not moving there.
I am, however, tomorrow buying a place in Qatar.
People are completely freaked out, and they're seeking solace in nations that haven't been able to compete in the digital economy, mostly the Middle East and Africa. They're taking solace in Islamism. This is not just a religious movement. It's a reaction against radical global change.
If you have a society in which people bow down before God 5 times a day, I'm not against that. I should bow down before God 5 times a day. And I wish I lived around people who bowed down before God 5 times a day.
This is an existential threat to the Western way of life. I really believe that.
Should I play that last part again? I think I should play that last part, that last little bit again.
I'm not against that. I should bow down before God 5 times a day. And I wish I lived around people who bowed down before God 5 times a day.
This is an
I should bow down before God, Allah, 5 times a day, and I wish I lived around people that bowed down before Allah 9 times or 5 times a day. Allah is not the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Allah is the God Balak or Modoc or Ashtir or whatever you want to fill in the blank. That's why they worship that rock in Mecca. That rock in Mecca that they dance around and go up and everybody touches and kisses and stuff pre-existed before Islam and was an occultic practice. I said Tucker Carlson on December 31st, 2025 was going to convert to Islam. God gave me that out of the blue. And people mocked me. Tard, you have no idea what you're talking about. And let me make this perfectly clear. I took a screenshot of that myself. When he just basically said he's Islamic right there. Those are the part of the tenets. Okay? That is not Christianity. And you saying, lots of Christians about 5 times a day. No, they don't. Not like that. Let me make this perfectly clear so you understand what I'm saying to you, Tard. When it comes out that he converts, if you don't pay the $1,000, and I don't want the money, I want it to go to the embassy.org. I'll send you the link. If you don't pay the $1,000, you'll be permanently banned from my show because I'm tired of your nonsense. because it isn't going to be too long. It may be in the strange July. He has all but admitted that he's Islamic. He's done all the things. He's bashed Christians. He's bashed Jews. He hates Jews so much that when he went to interview Ambassador Huckabee, he wouldn't leave the airport because he didn't want to set his feet on the land of the Jews. That's a Muslim thing. And now he's saying that he wants to bow 5 times and he wants to be around people that bow 5 times. The only thing he hasn't done is put the turban and the robe on. And that day is coming. I mean, he all but said it right there. Him saying that is an affront to God that he claims he's a Christian. Tucker Carlson is a Muslim. He's already converted. He just hasn't publicly said it. And if he wants to come at me, man. If he wants to come at me, come at me. Because I'll ask him one question. One question that he can't answer. Is Jesus Christ Lord of all? Did Jesus Christ die on a cross, was buried and dead for 3 days, rose again, where he ascended to the right hand of the Father, where God said, I will make your enemies your footstool? Because Tucker won't say that. Because he can't. He can't. Because the demonic forces inside of him won't allow it. Here's one more. Just the commentary on the story of Gavin Newsom. Come on, technology. There you go. This Gina Mullen. I don't know who she is, but cool. Do you realize how bad this is? This is bad, by the way. And Cat Turd says, wow, he's toast. I don't think Gavin Newsom survives the month with the stuff that's coming out right now. I don't think so. And here's another one. Dwight D. Eisenhower said in 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower proposed stripping convicted communists of their U.S. citizenship. Let me tell you something. Let's see. My own mother professed in my house that our God is the God of Islam. We are the same. We haven't spoken since. That's tough. A lot of people feel that way. But if you are saying that the God of Islam is the God you serve, then you're not a Christian by definition. Because you can't be a Christian and believe that. Because the God of Islam is the Antichrist. Go read their book. They'll tell you. Their 12th Imam, their end time prophecy is the exact same as Revelation, exact same as what the prophets of Israel said, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, when they talked about the end times. Except that Jesus Christ will bow to the 12th Imam. That's the only difference. And that he'll reject the Jews. Just like Tucker Carlson. And the question that I have in my mind that I want to know is, how long has Tucker believed this way? There's other things that are happening, by the way, that are fulfillments of prophecies. We talked about volcanoes the other day. What was it that Kim Clement? Eruptions, earthquakes, and energy. We saw all the earthquakes going on. We talked about an eruption a Kilauea. We talked about the eruption in the Philippines. This is Mountain Ski volcano. I don't know. Erupts for the first time since 2013 in Russia. The volcano is in southern that part of Russia. Produced an ash explosion at 2019 UTC on January 1st, 2026, marking its first documented eruption since July 3rd, 2013. Wow, that's interesting. KVERT reported that the approximately 3-minute event generated an ash plume up to 3.5 kilometers or 11,500 feet above sea level, extending about 10 kilometers or 6 miles west of the volcano. See, my grandma, that's my mom. Everybody, if you didn't want to know who great grandma Linda is, says, I've heard this preached 50 or so years ago. People thought Muslim and Christian people worship the same God. I don't believe this. Jesus is Lord. Absolutely. You know, you don't have to believe in this country, especially. You don't have to believe the way that I do. I'm not going to demand it of you. And it doesn't matter to me. Seismic weapons don't exist because God is in control. Patriot Mike, number one principle. Yeah, but I know that Phil Godowski told me that they exist, and so did the guy with the boots and stuff. Yeah, they're also trying to sell you a bunch of mumbo jumbo. But don't worry, you can get the little patch on the back of your phone that will stop the 6Gs from melting your brains and combining with the data centers to shoot laser beams through your eyes. Trust me, bro. For $29.95. No ups and no extras. So you guys go do that. As for me and my house, we won't mess with none of that stuff. What is HARP? What does it do? And how does it do it? You should ask the question of HARP just like you should ask the question of the people selling the little triangles. And I went and looked into that thing that Brad Barton's selling. You should ask the same question for that little patch thing. By the way, there's like 6 or 7 different companies selling that stuff right now. If I could shoot laser beams out of my eyes, it's on. Well, actually, they're shooting laser beams into your eye to melt the calcium receptors in your brain so that you turn into some kind of zombie. Speaking of some kind of zombie, Kamala Harris courts Madami, pro-Palestinian activists ahead of possible 2028 run. So let me tell you what I think is going to happen. So I said in my post that Gavin Newsom will not run for president. He was the leader. He's no longer. Actually, right now in the Democratic polls, Kamala Harris is the leader. AOC will run as a Democratic socialist. He will get the support. She will get the support of Zoltron. She will get the support of Bernie. She will get the support of Pocahontas. She will get support of all of these commies. What's happening right now is Kamala Harris is trying to cut that off. Here's my prediction for the Democrat race for 2028. AOC will win the most primaries, but she will not be the nominee. Kamala Harris will. They will give her the nominee because in the Democrat Party, the same way Bernie lost to Hillary Clinton, Bernie won most of the primaries, but Hillary got all of the super delegates, which is how they control. So AOC will win most of the primaries. Kamala Harris will get the super delegates. She will be the nominee. They will steal it from AOC. Now, AOC might end up on the ticket so they can bring everybody together in love. In the Democrat Party, you'll have the marriage of the Islamist Zoltrons and his people, the DSA, the Democratic Socialists, and the old dog Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, Barack Hussein Obama Democrats, and they will all be together in love as they have another summer of love. It'll be great. Now, I say all that. This all depends on how the self-deporting goes. But at this time, that's what I think is going to happen. There's a prophetic word from Kim Clement that they will do everything in their power to put a witch into the White House, and Kamala Harris is a witch by her own definition. Now, she doesn't say witch, but she is an occultist. She practices the occult through her religion. So I'm just putting that out there. JD won't be the one either. I have no idea if it will be JD or Marco Rubio or someone we haven't seen yet. But let me tell you something. If this is the season's prophecies being fulfilled, and this is Strange July, and then we have Fall in the Fall, Hypnotic November, and what about Christmas? It says in the midst of the fall in the fall, you will see the one that I have chosen to lift up and bring prayer. The man, he said, man. I don't remember the exact words, but you go watch it. You'll see where I'm talking about. Now, if Donald Trump is that one, but that's not manifesting itself. Donald Trump had a specific thing. So there may be a dark horse candidate. In fact, there is several prophetic words about a dark horse candidate. There may be a dark horse candidate coming that God has chosen, and he's off in the weeds and nobody knows him, that may end up being president. That's what they say. I've seen no evidence of it, Tard. That's that's the same kind of BS propaganda stuff. I've seen no evidence of it. But maybe she did. I don't know. But Kamala Harris absolutely says, when she does that thing where she's got her hand down and her hand up, and she said, what was it? How's it go? Somebody write it in the comment section. From where I once was to where I'm going, or something like that. She said that all over. She has two fingers down like this and two fingers up like that when she does it. That's a curse. Go look at the statue, the Satanic Temple's statue of their god. That is a rumor too, Matt, that Tulsi Gabbard is going to run as a Democrat. It's possible. It's possible. But if Tulsi Gabbard runs, Tulsi Gabbard will never get elected as a Democrat because she's tied to Trump, and they'll just run that against her, and she won't make it. And I'll just say that for you. Zoltron out there in New York, no AC for you. Cut off your AC because it's hot. That's what the communists do. The communists can't produce, so they got to cut. They got to ration. That's the only way. Here is Fox News reporting on Kamala Harris. Unburdened what has been. That's it. Thank you for. I couldn't remember what it was she said. I just remembered.
10. Now it appears Kamala Harris may be trying to get in on the action. Fox News Digital confirms the former vice president has reached out or spoken to prominent progressives over the last several days. She's called New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani. She's met with Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's also been reportedly reaching out to pro-Palestinian groups. Here's Mamdani talking about his conversation with Harris.
The vice president reached out to have a conversation, and we've had a brief conversation. We've been in touch over the last few months, and I really do appreciate her outreach.
It's the latest sign that Harris may be trying to boost her relationships with left-wing Democrats as speculation builds around her political future and whether she's considering launching another bid for the White House. Democratic socialists are emboldened, repeatedly saying their movement is only beginning.
After Donald Trump won the presidency a second time, my first instinct wasn't to run myself. It was that we would need to run somebody. I sincerely believe that money in politics is the greatest thing that's preventing us from passing things like Medicare for all and universal child care, and seeing that the Congresswoman had been taking millions of dollars from a lot of these different industries was a sticking point for me. Primaries are so important, especially in moments of crisis like this right now for our economy and our democracy, and I decided to run.
And looking ahead, one of the next big races to watch is in Michigan, where progressive candidate Abdul El-Sayed is running to replace outgoing Senator Gary Peters. The Democratic primary is happening on August 4th.
Matt is saying her and RFK as a team running, except RFK Jr. cannot get elected as a Democrat. I'm sorry. Once he sided with Trump, they could get some votes, but the RFK Jr. is probably the strongest candidate that they would have to run, because RFK Jr., although he's a Democrat, although he's a progressive lefty, is not a crazy psycho communist, and he loves America. And he would do well, all things considered, except that the Democrats, remember what I tell you, right? Remember what I tell you, that the spectrum of politics, they try to teach you that it's a circle, that if you go far enough right, you end up on the left. It's not the case, because you're looking at the wrong things. On to the right, the more right you go, the less and less and less and less government there is till you get to anarchist with no government. You go to the left, so the right goes less government, the left goes more and more and more and more and more government till you get totalitarian, communist control of everything. So if you take that spectrum and you put the center, right? People like Rush Limbaugh were center right. People like Mark Levin is center right. People like Ronald Reagan, center right. Okay. But you take people like Thune and people like McConnell and people like Marjorie Taylor Greene now, what she's saying, right? They are center left. Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, center left. Well, how can you say that? Because when the tax cuts came up, yes, Levin is a goblin pedo protector. Well, you hate the Jews, so I get what you're saying. I don't particularly hate them at all. And we are in the season, by the way, of finding out what God meant by "I will curse those that curse you." That you're going to see with your own eyes. So I would ask God about those things and get your heart right with God. But so the center left, these politicians, Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, etc., when talked about Trump's tax cuts, the tax cuts for the rich. I don't remember rich getting overtime or worried about Social Security or getting tips for being servers. Actually, the Romans killed Jesus. You guys don't want to debate me on that. Do you want to know who killed Jesus, sir? You did. Because Jesus died for our sins. Or do you not believe that? Because if you don't, then you're not a Christian, so I understand your problem. I know what God thinks and does because I have a personal relationship with him. And we talk all the time. And he shows me things. So, again, you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just saying, you don't. But that's okay. We're all good. We're all one big happy family here. So, here's what I'm saying, though. Center left. Those people are center left because they said we had to pay for the tax cuts. Just like here in the state of Missouri, they're going to cut income tax, but increase the tax pool. Increase the tax pool by taxing more people. That is center left. That is government is the solution. Ronald Reagan said government is not the solution, it is the problem. These Republicans say government's the solution. That's left. More and more and more government. They're just not as left as the crazy communists. That's the difference. That's what I'm talking about. There's an interesting phenomenon going on. Let's see if I can't find this here real quick. With the 250 celebration, they're trying to bash the 250 celebration big time right now, meaning the Democrats and some of the Republicans. This is this Ed Krasserstein. This is huge. Trump appears to have committed wire fraud and essentially stealing American tax dollars for his Freedom 250 scam. By the way, the Freedom 250 was not started by Trump. They started planning for this 25 years ago, by the way. Yeah. But there's some other things happening. For example, here's Fox News reporting on how all across our country in these leftist Marxist cities, these sanctuary cities, they are stopping Independence Day celebrations, but all supporting Somali Independence Day, which was like 2 days ago.
Of Democrat-led cities that have appeared to put America's 250th birthday on the back burner. Buffalo held a celebration for Somali Independence Day, flying the country's flag at City Hall. That country's flag. And just a day after canceling its 4th of July fireworks show. The city said it ran into logistical issues.
Now, I've seen this posted on Facebook. There's a city here in down around the Lake of the Ozarks that just canceled their celebration, their fireworks show. All across the country, cities are, for one excuse or another, canceling their fireworks show. Some of these people are celebrating Somalian Independence Day, but canceling the American Independence Day for some god-awful reason. I don't know what it is, but it just seems to be a problem. Here is Scott Jennings over on CNN.
President's right to lean into it. And I think there's a very simple explanation about some of the attendance. And it's because, and you can see it in the polling. Don't take my word for it. Ask the Gallup poll, ask NBC News poll. We have a patriotism gap in this country. Republicans love this country. They're patriotic about this country, and Democrats aren't. They just aren't. They're not proud to be Americans, and therefore they're not interested in celebrating America's 250th birthday. And I don't think it's all about Donald Trump. This has been a steady downward trend for the last 25 years. And it's sad, but we've got two parties in this country. One loves it, and one appears to be hating it more and more by the year. And I think that is a sad thing. We live in the greatest country in the world. The president proclaims that message all the time. And that's something that ought to unify all Americans, but Democrats just can't seem to get behind.
But Scott, isn't the president proclaiming his face all the time? I mean, it's up on front of the Justice Department. He's remaking Washington in his image with his name on things. I mean, isn't that part of the issue? I mean, you're saying it's hate of the country. I don't hear a lot of hate of the country from people who are Democrats in D.C. It's dislike of the president.
Well, I would encourage you to listen to some of the interviews that have been given by the Democrat candidates who have recently won primaries. And I would encourage you to read the polling that's come out just this week, in the last few days, from the Gallup organization about the patriotism gap that exists. I'm sorry to tell you, Republicans love this country, and they always love it no matter who's in charge. And look, yes, Donald Trump has put his picture on things. I hate to break the news. He's the president of the United States, and he's going to be part of things going on with our government. And our government should be doing things to celebrate the country's 250th birthday. And he's the president, and he's going to be part of it. And the fact that they cannot accept that, or that they would use that as an excuse not to celebrate this country, is pretty sad, in my opinion.
Sochi, you're a Democrat. How much do you hate the country?
So did you see how Anderson Cooper 912 tried to change that all around? Well, Donald Trump, it's Donald Trump, it's Donald Trump. No. They are resisting celebrating the greatness of America. The Democrats have come out pissed off about the FIFA World Cup and all these Europeans coming over here going, golly, America's great. America's awesome. They're pissed off about it. They hate you. They hate America. Trump's just standing in the way. So don't give me that. And Tard, stop being retarded. Let me explain something to you because you're not smart enough to understand. Not one of the places I'm about to show you and the other things that I have seen canceled their fireworks because of weather. Not one. They canceled it because they couldn't get the fireworks in time, or they canceled it because they just couldn't find a venue for it. Those are the reasons given. So you can make up your own crap all you want, which is what you normally do. This is a post. This post, the one on the right, says, "Look at me. We will raise our own flag next year." This is a post from the Recreation and Parks Department, was deleted shortly after Fox News Digital reached out for comment. After publication, a city spokesperson told Fox News Digital a social media post created by the city department falsely stated that City Hall would raise the Somalian flag in recognition of Somalians' Independence Day. While the city recognizes and respects the aspirations of the people around the world to live free, this post is inaccurate and has been deleted. Now, all over our country, we celebrated. We took down American flags and put up Somalian flags in these Democrat cities all over this country. Why are we doing that? Because they hate America. Because they want Islam to conquer America, just like Tucker Carlson. These Somalians, by the way, will be rounded up and shipped home. That this is not going to stand, not even for a minute. Here you have the radical Democratic Socialists of America, and they are on the move.
Do you think it's too early for me to ask if the path to the presidency for a Democrat is going to run through DSA?
I think that we will be trying to influence the next presidential primary, and it's still too soon to say how.
Say who?
Yeah, to say who. I think that many in the organization would be very thrilled if Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez ended up running, But ultimately, that's her decision, and we'll be in conversation.
So as you send a handful of people to Congress, I want to get a sense from you of how this is all going to actually function, because it's no secret that there are some tensions there, some major points of conflict, and DSA folks, they're going to be a very tiny minority in a caucus that they have to operate with. Do you expect them, folks like Chevalier, for example, to take a Mamdani style approach, who he has found common ground, he has collaborated with and compromised with other sort of establishment figures? Or do you think they're going to hold the line on some of these campaign promises and kind of have to set up a almost purity test type approach?
I think what we've found works at the New York State level, where we do have years of governance experience, is a mix of both. Ultimately, you're right that Democratic Socialists are a small minority in any legislature that they're in. And so it's essential to be able to welcome people who don't agree with us on everything, to build a coalition to actually pass the transformative reforms that we're talking about. And in New York, we've been able to do that. We taxed the rich in 2021. We've passed major climate legislation. We've passed stronger tenant protections. And we want to do that at the congressional level as well. It takes coalition building to do that. But on the other hand, we're not going to compromise some of our core values.
Yep. And why does all these people who come out of college and get educated always end in the note going up? It's like they teach that in public speaking now. All these millennials and these Gen Zs, they always end their sentence. I don't get it, but okay. But I just something I've noticed over the years.
Now we're going to do rapid fire. Super easy, simple. Rapid fire. Do you support repealing Act 10?
Yes.
Universal child care?
Yes.
Free school meals?
Yes.
Guaranteed pay leave?
Yes.
Abolishing ICE?
Yes.
A 1-year data center moratorium?
Yes.
Breaking up big ag?
Yes.
Public grocery stores?
Yes.
Right to repair?
Yes.
Legalizing cannabis?
Yes.
Overturning Citizens United?
Yes.
A workers' bill of rights?
Yes.
A free Palestine?
Yes.
A Scott Walker statue that people can go to that are made by local artisans and craftsmen that people can slap up if they want to.
Tentatively, yes.
Okay, I tried to sneak that in there. I was like, oh, we got the momentum. Like you're saying yes to everything. Maybe I could catch you. Damn it.
So there you go. And I got one question. If I was on the show, they will never have me on the show. How are you going to pay for it? We're going to tax all the millionaires and the billionaires, and we're definitely going to tax Elon Musk because he's a trillionaire. Okay, that's fine. We got an $8 trillion budget, a $4 trillion income. So if you tax all the money from all the billionaires, you get a couple of $1 trillion. How are you going to pay for it? Free. Well, I'll tell you how they're going to pay for it. It'll be free, but it won't be available because there's only two ways of distributing scarce resources, and everything is a scarce resource. One is price. You see, when the eggs are running short and they're $5 a dozen, you go in and look, so I just can't pay $5 a dozen for the eggs, so you don't pick them up. And then the person that has the restaurant down the street that needs the eggs for breakfast will buy the eggs at $5 a dozen. They need them. They don't have a choice. Got to stay in business. So price is a self-rationing of the economy. However, when the Marxist takes over, the communist takes over, he says, $5 eggs are just too high. I demand $1.50 eggs. And you go in and say, $1.50, what a deal. And you take 6 cartons. And then the next person comes and there's no eggs. So the communist says, I demand that everybody gets a carton of eggs. So they put a little sign up that says, only 1 carton. So when the restaurateur comes in and needs 10 dozen eggs to keep his restaurant open, only 1 carton. You see how that works?
But also,
here is Axios on AOC.
But also, does DSA see a window there to communicate with, to work with a figure like Harris, who angered and outraged so many of your members? Where does that relationship go?
I'll say that we really prioritized the congressional races this cycle because we knew that our performance in these races would become the measure of our power, and it would influence how the political establishment orients toward us. After we won the mayoral race, we saw in New York State figures like Kathy Hochul, who were really, had been aligned with the establishment. They started to adopt some of our platform. We were able to reach a major step toward universal childcare, I think, as a result of that election. And it's not surprising to me that now that we have so many more electoral victories under our belt, that people are trying to learn from that, I hope. But I think it's still too early to say, there were huge mistakes made, I think, in the 2024 presidential race, not even allowing a Palestinian to speak at the DNC convention is something that people will not soon forget. So having conversations, I think, is always welcome, but it's really seeing if they lead to action.
Yeah, not having a Palestinian speak at the convention for the Democrats, because you have a bunch of Democrats that are Jews. That's why. But these guys screw the Jews. Yeah. Here is some more on what they're doing in these sanctuary cities, why the Democrats hate America not participating in the 250-year anniversary.
Over City Hall. Yes, indeed. And in the home of the Boston Tea Party, far-left Mayor Michelle Wu, she's a total nightmare. She's going gaga.
Chinese citizen.
But just not ours.
I'm happy to be here with you to raise a flag, to celebrate Somali Independence Day.
Somalia's Independence Day serves as a powerful symbol of freedom, unity, and then the enduring fight for justice. I, Michelle Wu, Mayor of the City of Boston, do hereby proclaim Friday, June 26, 2026, to be Somali Flag Raising Day in the City of Boston.
In the Twin Cities, Mayor Jacob Frey kowtowed to another foreign flag in an event that looked more like Mogadishu than Minneapolis.
Yep. All over the country, these lefty cities are bowing down to the Somali Muslims, probably because they are Muslim. They've compromised everywhere. Here's another report.
Says fireworks are not in the cards for this year's 4th of July. Officials tell us the idea had been in discussions, but after exploring potential locations, a safe and widely accessible viewing area could not be found. As a result, there will not be a downtown fireworks display this year.
In Buffalo, New York, we just can't find a safe place. Where have you been doing fireworks for the last 250 years, Buffalo? That's just no safe place. Oh my gosh, what are we ever going to do? What a load of crap. But this is the standard operating procedure. The standard operating procedure, this is it right here. But don't forget that we need to keep, we got bands of black girls beating white girls to a pulp. We've got other people saying that we need to, because of Carmela Anthony, we need to go out and beat up random white people. We have A black woman shooting a white veteran in a parking lot over a parking space dispute. We have this person says, kill your local Republicans.
T7 here, and we're going to make this the moderate position for the state of Wisconsin. But I need your help because we have 1 month to do this. So let's do it.
Yep. Just be ready because it's coming. This woman says that black people were not brought to America, that they were here.
Well, I'm here to tell you, Black America Today, all of that is a lie. We never came from nowhere. We were already here, right here on this land, okay? Everybody else came from everywhere else to America. The same way in 2026, you got foreigners fighting to come to America. That's the exact same way in 1776 and even beyond that, the foreigners were fighting to come to America. Okay? Now, they'll teach you this in school, but they teach it to you in a way to where you don't understand what's happening. So in school, they told us about 7 nations who came to America to conquer the land. But they told us that the people who were here were Native Americans. What does that do mentally? It mentally takes us out of the story. So if we take ourselves out of the story, now we're reading what we believe to be a story between 2 different sets of people. But that's not the truth. The reason why they told you that it was Native Americans who were here is so that you won't know that you were already here. Because if you know that you were already here, then you'll know that you're the American and they are the foreigner.
I mean, history, I guess. I don't know. But these people believe this stuff. And this is part of the DSA, the Democrat Socialist. This is Marxism 101. They put this stuff out there so people will believe it. It's really crazy. You know, like Zoltron. You get no AC. You get no AC. Nobody gets AC. I said yesterday that it sounded like Oprah. Here's an interesting post by the Department of War. The future is now, old man. The fiscal year 2027 Department of War budget request ensures we retain American air and space excellence today and tomorrow. They got a little portal with planes coming out of it from the past to the future. Kind of weird. Kind of weird. I was going to do that one earlier than now, but we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that one because I want to get some of this other stuff. Here's another one. This is from Wall Street Apes. Residents of the small San Joaquin Valley city of Avino, I don't know, California. I don't know even know where I lived out in California. I don't even know. So are furious. They voted in April to recall the majority of their city council, but the city council members are refusing to leave office. Over 75% of the voters approved recalling all 4 officials. Kings County certified the results in May. Voters targeted Mayor Alvarado Persis, that guy, and Councilman Leticia Gomez, David Rayzona, and Pablo Hernandez for the 5 council seats. The city leaders who are refusing to leave are saying the recall was conducted unlawfully by Kings County elections instead of the city itself and lacked proper city authority authorization. So they wanted to be able to give authorizations for vote to remove them. Sure. I looked into this and verified they should all be removed under California law. The recalled VENMO officials should be removed from their office. California recall process is governed by the California Constitution, Article 2, Section 13 through 19, and the California Elections Code, Division 11, 11000. California, okay, I already said a lot. Once a recall election is properly held and a majority votes yes, to recall an official, that official is removed from office upon certification of the results of the election. And that gives election code right there. The election was conducted by Kings County. The county election official, which is standard procedure for local elections when the city does not handle it itself, the county certified the results after verifying the process, but they did nothing. When voting doesn't work, the only response people have is guns. And we don't want that in this country. So we want to solve these issues by voting. James Lindsay, anti-communist, woke 2.0 is coming. It started already. Rather than foregoing identity politics, it will push affordability, wherever you heard this, Marxist materialism, wherever you heard this in New York City. Can't afford to rent. We're going to give the rent freeze. We're going to have free groceries. We're going to have free gasoline. We're going to have free public transportation. Free. Anti-corruption, ironic, but an excuse to go after Trump. And anti-Israel and pro-Palestine. It's the Jews. So all of you Jew haters out there understand that you're pushing the communist woke religion. It'll be a worm to political violence. That's what's coming. Now here's something. C3, who you can follow on X, says this. Are you sitting down? America in the last 55 years, welfare programs up 900%. U.S. national debt up 11,000%. Foreign-born population up 300%. Illegal immigration population up 4,900%, at least. A planned demolition. Immigration is everything. That's why they're fighting for it, and it's sick. It's Cloward and Piven, who were communist college professors in the 50s and 60s, that put up a theory that you could collapse the government and the society of the United States of America into a communist safety net by overwhelming the political system and the welfare system, by getting everybody you can on welfare, by bringing in immigrants from around the world and putting them on welfare, putting them on Medicaid, and overwhelming the systems that they all collapse. And we'll have all the people screaming and clamoring and crying for Zoltron to give it to them for free. That's what's happening. Hillary Clinton said, I always enjoy talking to my friend Mark Elias. And when there's not, and whew, that's what she's saying. Whew, there's a lot to talk about. To which Molly Hemingway says, not just friends, but key co-conspirators in the Russian hoax that caused such damage to our country. They were key co-conspirators back in the day, too. And Annie Weber says, Mark Elias, at the request of the Clintons, began destroying our election system. Yep. Now, here's another one. They're panicking. Oh, my God. Sources are telling me that ICE is being required to report daily to White House and the Department of Homeland Security, which ICE is part of the Department of Homeland Security. And Department of Homeland Security, as Supreme Court just ruled, is an executive branch alphabet agency that reports directly to the executive, the President of the United States of America. So, duh. Trump admin also imposing numerical mandates for daily arrest. Darn. I voted for this. The reporting had stopped when Noem left office, Kristi Noem. They suspect Mullen is losing control to Miller. Oh no. That's not happening, by the way. They're getting ready to fire everybody. It continues to be, this is Stephen Miller, the first source said. He continues to drive the boat. Stephen Miller's evil. No, Stephen Miller's a patriot, unlike you commie bastards. Here is CNN, Fox News reporting. CNN, so a couple of people were shipped back to Venezuela, Tren de Agua terrorist, shipped back to Venezuela, and they were staying in an apartment building that had collapsed during the earthquake, and it's Donald Trump's fault.
Venezuelans who were deported from the U.S. just hours before the quake struck had been taken to a hotel not far from the epicenter. That hotel collapsed.
For Ninoska Gutierrez, the pain feels very fresh. She said she escaped miraculously with just minor injuries, scrapes and bruises, slipping from under the rubble.
Well, CNN wasting no time pointing out that a survivor of the Venezuela earthquake was only there because ICE deported her. Let's bring in political commentator Deborah Leah and former Trump White House Deputy Communications Director Roman Duravi. Thank you both for coming on. I mean, Deborah, that's one of those things where only CNN could frame it like that. That she wouldn't have been there if, you know, the U.S. hadn't deported her. She wouldn't have been here. Come on.
There is nothing outrageous about this story. It is a non-story. Somebody who was Venezuelan was in Venezuela when an earthquake happened. And my heart breaks for the Venezuelan community, but it's a natural disaster. What's next? Blaming ICE for somebody stubbing their toe in Germany? It's absolutely ridiculous. And we have seen this villainization of the left of ICE where they just want to blame them for every single situation. These people were deported because they broke our laws and they illegally entered our country. And so they were returned to their home country. This would have never been a story. They would have never not been there had they not illegally entered our country. It's not a story at all. They're just going to blame ICE for everything. I pray for the people of Venezuela. This has nothing to do with ICE, and it's not their fault.
But you would think in part of the framing, if you're doing this on CNN, you would also want to mention the fact that, by the way, she was in this country illegally, as Deborah says, and by the way, she also committed an additional crime on top of that. That should be part of the narrative. Doesn't always make it in there.
Yep. Doesn't always make it in there. That's an understatement. They don't want to talk about all the good things in America. No, 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 no. Only the bad. Only the bad. They don't want to talk about the good. And let's see. I got one more video here that I want to play. And it's our old friend, Oliver Anthony, who's saying Rich Men North of Richmond, covering country roads. This is about as Americana as you can get.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is older, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like the breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia. Oh, mountain mama, Lord, take me home. Country roads, all my memories gather round her. Miner's a lady, stranger to blue water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky. A misty taste of moonshine, a teardrop in my eye. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia. Oh, mountain mama, Lord, take me home. Country roads.
I think it's pretty good. I enjoy it. And one more thing, I just want to point this out to you as we go through these hot dog days of summer. This is Willis Carrier. He invented the air conditioner. Let's all take a moment and give thanks. Amen to that. I pray to God. I say, God, I don't need riches. I don't need glory and fame. But there is a request that I make. And I say this to him all the time. And I thank him because he has provided. I request that I have a roof over my head and air conditioning because I'm spoiled. And I request that I've got something to put in my belly. It doesn't have to be fancy. I'm not a fancy kind of guy. And I request, Lord, that you give me some sort of transportation because I'm getting too old to walk everywhere and I'm spoiled. That's my prayer. That's what I want. I don't need the big house on the hill. You know, the more things that you have, the more you are trapped. The more things have you. But those things is all I need. I'll be happy. It was like them old, back during the Rona days, the old post where it says, would you stay in the cabin? And it's got this cabin with smoke billowing out of it and snow everywhere. Would you stay in this cabin with no internet, no phone, no hope, no luxury, not a, you know, the whole thing for $1 million? I said, for $1 million, I'd do it for free. Oh, but God's called me to do some things, so I can't do that. So here is Donald Trump made this post, and we're going to end the show here. This is really good.
In July of 1776, King George III still towered over New York City, not in person, in lead. At Bowling Green, near the tip of Manhattan, stood a gilded 4,000-pound statue of King George on horseback, dressed like a Roman emperor. It had been erected just 6 years earlier as a monument to British power. But by the summer of 1776, Americans no longer saw majesty in this statue. They saw tyranny. On July 9, 1776, George Washington gathered his troops in New York and had the newly adopted Declaration of Independence read aloud. The words had barely settled before soldiers, sailors, and patriots surged down Broadway to Bowling Green and toppled the King George statue. While the crowd saw tyranny toppled, Connecticut patriot Oliver Wolcott saw bullets. 4,000 pounds of lead bullets for a Continental Army Wolcott knew would be desperate for ammunition. So Wolcott had the shattered pieces of King George loaded onto boats and shipped to Connecticut. From there, ox carts hauled the remains of King George more than 60 miles over rough country roads to Wolcott's home in Litchfield. And in the Wolcott family orchard, a shed became a foundry. His wife Laura, his daughter Mary Ann, and local neighbors worked over melting pots, pouring the King's lead into bullet molds. 42,088 musket balls in all. Some of those bullets were fired 2 years later at the Battle of Monmouth. The brutal New Jersey showdown where Washington's army proved it could stand in the open field against British regulars. You have to love the irony. Britain sent America a monument to empire. America sent it right back at muzzle velocity. So let's celebrate our nation's 250th birthday as we remember patriots like Oliver Wolcott who made it all possible. From the White House, I'm Peter Navarro.
You want to make America great? Is that from very beginning, that was our attitude. You know, the first real battle between the Continental Army and the British was Bunker Hill. There were some other skirmishes and things of note between then and at that time frame. But it was Bunker Hill. The British demanded that the colonists give over their powder and ball. And it was stored at Bunker Hill. And the British moved to take it. And the colonists said, you can have it. As Peter Navarro said, at muzzle velocity, you can have it. That is American history. Come and take it. You want it? Come get it. Did we lose the Battle of Bunker Hill? Yes. Did we inflict serious pain on the British to make them think twice? Yes. And that was the point. Do you know why we lost the battle on Bunker Hill? Not because they surrendered, not because they retreated, not because too many of them were killed, because we ran out of powder and ball. We gave it all to the British. So as you celebrate your Independence Day tomorrow, and you go blow stuff up or watch somebody else blow stuff up, or you eat your hamburgers and your hot dogs with your grandchildren or your children running around at your feet, whatever it is that you do, or you just have a quiet evening at home, whatever it is you do, just remember and say a prayer for the founding of our nation under God, written right into the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these, by the way, some of our founders wrote back in the day that among these is infinite, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We need to once again change our thinking from freedom to liberty, because there's a huge difference. Our country is founded on God and liberty. And we need to reclaim our historic rights to the blessings that God has bestowed on this country, in the same way that I talk about Israel and all of the countless blessings that are in the Bible that have been bestowed upon Israel. God does not change. And the blessings that were pronounced and manifested in the United States of America in the beginning of our country still stand today. And we all need to stand together and proclaim it. Regardless of what these people that call us brainwashed, but they have no idea what they're talking about. They don't have any idea who God is. They don't have any idea what this country was founded upon. Because the fear of the Lord is the beginning of all wisdom. And because they don't fear God, they have no wisdom. And by the way, I've seen this over and over and over and over and over again. These preachers and these theologians and these Pharisees and these Sadducees and these so-called religion folk who constantly tell me that God is love and God would not do this. God would not tell people that they're being bad. God would not send people to hell. God would not tell people that they need to be shipped back home where they came from. God is love and inclusive and loves everybody. Oh, love me, love me, love me, love me. God is love. But he's also righteous and just and holy. The fear of the Lord means just that, because I can show you. Oh, but Jesus always said, "Don't be afraid." And in the Bible, the angel always said, "Don't be afraid." Yeah, that's after the person passes out in fear. Read your Bible. Why do they fear and tremble in the presence of God? Because he's God. And if you were ever in his presence, you would tremble in fear too. He may say to you, "Peace, do not fear." That is by the way, an anointing and a blessing that God is putting on the person that just passed out in fear. We must stand in fear and in awe of God. And let me tell you something. You tell all your friends to keep their eyes open and watch, because all these people run around telling me Jesus is love, God is love, Jesus would never do that. Jesus love, 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 love. I've been in several chats, in conversations below posts of pastors and preachers that I follow who are saying the same thing I'm saying at this time. That these people saying love got it wrong, and they're in his comment sections. They're just, no, he's love, he's love, he's love, he's all love. And you forget the other parts. You forget Ananias and Sapphira. You forget Ezekiel 9. You forget Mount Carmel. You forget Jehu. You forget Jericho. You forget the Red Sea. You forget the flood. Yes, God is love, but God is also righteous. God is also the judge. God holds your destiny in his hands. And it says in the book that there are those who are going to say, "But Lord, we worked wonders in your names. We healed people. We delivered people. We brought people to you." And he's going to say to you, "Depart from me, you worker of iniquity, for I never knew you." And you should fear God that he doesn't know you. Because if you don't fear God, if you don't think and seek God every day to make sure that you have a relationship with him, make sure you're on the right track with him, you might wind up in heaven before the judgment seat, and he says, "I never knew you." And the big burly angels grabs you and drags you out and casts you into utter darkness where there's biting and gnashing of teeth for eternity. You should fear God. And you should stop this God is love. Yes, God is love. God is so loved that he gave his only son that you might be able to be saved. But if you just focus on that, I don't think you have a relationship with God or with Jesus, because you have no fear of him. The devils, the demons, they know God, they know Jesus, and they tremble in fear. So if you say those things, if you say he's just love, I think you're worshiping the wrong God. I think you're worshiping the angel of light who says, worship me and I will give you all of this. What God says that? One God says, be righteous for I am righteous. Be holy for I am holy. One God says, don't worry about the things in this world. Worry about the things in the next world. The other God says, I'll make you happy. I'll give you everything you want. You will have freedom. You will have peace. You will be able to do all the things that you want to do. Which God do you serve? Just think about it. As we go into this Independence Day, and thank God that we are born at this time, in this season, in the greatest country to ever exist in the world, because you could have been born somewhere else at another time, and it may not have been nearly as fun. Anyways, thank you for indulging me. Have a great weekend. Go out, blow some stuff up, celebrate your independence, celebrate your liberty, and explain to your children and grandchildren what liberty is. See you all Monday. Patriot Mike is out.
They can bury the truth, but they can't kill the soul. Cut through the noise, get back to what matters. Stomp that floor, raise that hand, hear that truth roll across the land. We've been bent, we've been bruised, still we stand with nothing to lose. It ain't easy, it ain't easy. The road is long and hard. We stand for our freedom right here in our own backyard. Yes, Patriot Mike, standing tall and free. Patriot Mike, for you and for me. Strap in. You're live with the Patriot Mike Show.